If the Knicks want Donovan Mitchell, they're going to have to pay, and pay a lot. According to ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst, the Cleveland Cavaliers have set a sky-high asking price for Donovan Mitchell. And not only that, folks, if the Cavs make him available, the Knicks and the Nets may not be the only teams interested in adding Donovan to their roster. We're going to break down this and so much more today. So be sure you're subscribed to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. According to NBA insider Brian Windhorst, the Cleveland Cavaliers have set a sky-high asking price for Donovan Mitchell if he becomes available via trade. Now, I already knew if the Cavs are going to trade Donovan that they were going to ask for something significant back. However, I could have never predicted that they would ask back something so significant. Look at this package, according to Brian Windhorst, that the Cavs would want back in any type of deal for Donovan Mitchell. According to Brian Windhorst, no matter the number of suitors after Donovan, the Cavs would likely demand that the return be as good as what they gave up to get Mitchell in September 2022. On the order of 2 good young players like Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen, 3 unprotected first-rounders, and 2 first-round pick swaps. For a variety of reasons, Windhorst doesn't think that it's possible now and argues against a trade at the deadline for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Shout out to Brian Windhorst for giving us this massive update on the Cavs and what they would potentially be seeking in any Donovan Mitchell trade. Now, I understand Donovan Mitchell is a star. I understand he's box office, and I also understand what he's doing this season, what he's doing for the Cavs, and what he could do for any team that he's added to. But this is absolutely ridiculous. You want the same type of trade package, the same type of deal that you gave up in the first place to get Donovan, which in my opinion, you don't have any leverage like the Jazz did to do so. Number one, I think a lot of people already know that he wants to go to the destination of New York. That really means that only 2 teams are likely on his radar. If that's the case, all the other teams around the league likely know that. Are their trade offers going to be just as strong? I don't think so. So that means you're likely only doing business with 2 main teams. And the one team that Donovan Mitchell has been linked to, that he's been touted to wanting to go to, that he almost went to a few seasons ago, was the New York Knicks. And they're likely still the same destination Donovan would prefer to go to if he could have his choice of it right now. However, if you're going to ask for this many picks and this many players, not only are you not going to trade Donovan, Donovan's going to leave Cleveland for nothing, and you're going to get nothing back. Nobody, I repeat, nobody is going to give you that trade package of 3 unprotected first-round picks, 2 pick swaps, and 2 young emerging players. Nobody. Not for Donovan Mitchell, not right now. They have no leverage, folks. And really, honestly, they must trade Donovan Mitchell this season. Because if they don't and they retain him to next season and they do nothing again in the playoffs, they have 0 leverage next season to get a deal done. Will they get assets back? Yes. Will it be significant? Maybe. Will it be as good as a deal they could get done right now in terms of trade assets? No. Definitely not. Because right now, they have a little bit of leverage. If they wait and they do nothing in the playoffs and they retain Donovan into next season, and Donovan, of course, likely not going to resign, then that makes the Cavs look like they're going to get nothing for Donovan. He might walk for free. And guess what? If that happens, the Cavs could have got something this year, but instead waited and now potentially would get nothing. That's the risk in waiting if you don't trade Donovan Mitchell. And if the Cavs season continues to spiral out of control, then they better go ahead and trade Donovan now and get the best deal for him now while they have leverage. Because if not, they may end up getting little to nothing for him. And if you're the GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers and Toby Altman, that's something you have to consider among a lot of other factors as well too. You also have to factor in what other teams may be interested if I make Donovan Mitchell available. Because for the New York Knicks, the only team that I thought was significant in terms of having another chance to get Donovan other than the Knicks was the Nets. because they pose another threat for him getting another route to New York. And that's the only real reason that I consider them a threat in the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes. However, according to Brian Windhorst, he stated that the Miami Heat and at least two other teams in the Southwest Division would also have interest in Mitchell. Mitchell is under contract through July 2025, but as Windhorst said in the past, and as Bontemps reiterated on Monday, no one thinks that Mitchell will sign an extension with Cleveland. Windhorst stated the following about the situation. I would say the Knicks and the Nets are riding the line. Those two teams where I think Donovan would have a chance of re-signing. If they got into a bidding war, I think that could be interesting. So as ESPN stated here, the Miami Heat is another name to watch out for and another team to watch out for in the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes. So you can add them to the list with the Brooklyn Nets and also the New York Knicks. But did you also take notice that Brian Windhorst stated, he didn't mention it, but he stated that two other teams, other than the three teams that we just mentioned, may have interest in adding Donovan Mitchell to their roster. More obstacles for the Knicks to get past if they want to add Donovan to the roster. So that's another thing that they have to look at, along with the fact that the Cavs may seek a sky-high asking price for Donovan. So not only do you have to deal with other teams posing a threat and their trade offers, you also have to deal with the Cavs and their potential asking price for Donovan Mitchell. Windy mentioned the fact that the Knicks and the Nets might get into a bidding war over Donovan Mitchell. If the Nets and the Knicks get into a bidding war over Spida, then absolutely I think it's going to hurt the Knicks more than it's going to help them. They cannot afford to go to a bidding war with the Nets or any team for any star player. That's why it's very imperative that the player that they go after needs to want to be in New York, has connections to New York, but more than anything else, will make it known in some way, without getting fined, of course, that they want to be in New York and they only want to play for the Knicks. Because if that happens, his trade value will go from here all the way down to whatever the Knicks and Leon Rose make it to be. Because if he gives the Knicks that power, the Knicks gain the leverage. No other team will have the leverage. And it's likely that the Knicks will offer a package just good enough. Not a great package, but just good enough that beats out all the other packages on the table to get Donovan Mitchell on the roster. And that's the most ideal way for the Knicks to add Donovan. If the Knicks go through that bidding war and end up getting Donovan Mitchell anyways, they might be hurt more in the process, because that way they might have given up more assets than necessary to get Donovan. But that's the risk you have to take if they wait to get Donovan Mitchell in free agency. And that's why I mentioned this is a lot like the Melo situation, because the Nets at the time were interested in Melo as well too. And they caused an issue that made the Knicks trade for Melo way sooner than they needed to, giving up a lot of assets in the process. I just hope the Knicks and Leon Rose don't make that same mistake again. And according to Brian Windhorst, he gives his thoughts on the Cleveland Cavaliers and potentially if they should trade Donovan Mitchell at this point. So, according to Brian Windhorst, it's very hard to find that trade, especially midseason, for a star or a superstar. So to me, it absolutely is viable to them to not trade Donovan Mitchell, stick with it, ride out the storm, the restorative value of the NBA season coming back, and just say we don't have to make a decision or trade Donovan Mitchell right now. If they did that, they'd be in a somewhat advantageous position, as Windhorst notes that there is no superstar player likely to be available in the middle of this season, with the possible exception of Zach LaVine. It seems like Brian Windhorst also agrees with me, because again, the Cavs, if they traded Donovan Mitchell this season, would be in a way more advantageous position, as Brian Windhorst stated, because they would have leverage and they likely would get a lot more assets for Donovan, because that other team would have a whole other NBA season to sell Donovan on their franchise and their team, and that might mean more to other teams right now than potentially next season. So the Cavs definitely have to think about that. However, if they make Donovan Mitchell available and think that they can go ahead and ask for 3 unprotected first-round picks, 2 first-round pick swaps, and 2 good young players like Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen, then there is no way they're going to get any type of deal done with any team around the league. There is no team in the NBA right now that is giving up that package for Donovan Mitchell midseason. None. Zero. And if you wait till next season, that trade package, even if you half it, I still don't think you get that next season. That's how much his value is going to be lowered. You have to think about that if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. For them, it's sooner rather than later. And in my opinion, Donovan Mitchell is coming home. He's coming to the Knicks sooner rather than later. So either you make a fair trade to get him on the Knicks now, or you wait till free agency and get him then. Either way, Donovan Mitchell is coming home to the New York Knicks sooner rather than later. And the Cleveland Cavaliers and their organization and their management absolutely need to understand that and think about that. But what about you guys? What do you think about this insane asking price, according to Brian Windhorst, that the Cavs would want if they make Donovan Mitchell available for a trade? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.